Good morning, class. I hope everyone is doing well today. My name is Charles Griffin, and I'm a graduate student studying managerial science at Amerton University. I'm here today to talk to everyone about the organizational culture of the Georgia College and State University Business Office. This presentation was made for Dr. Sanchez's organizational culture class for the summer 2016 session. Organizational culture is an important factor of the success of any company, which is why it is such an important topic to discuss. As you can see here, we have the table of contents. During this presentation, we will first look at the introduction. During the introduction, I hope to introduce the topic, discuss the purpose of this research, highlight why the research is important, and discuss the assumptions I made going into the project. Following this introduction, I will list the authors whose studies made up the bulk of my research and discuss a few of the contributions that these authors made to the research and analysis of organizational culture. The next part, the analysis, will take up the bulk of the presentation. This section will look at what previous researchers discussed earlier regarding organizational culture. I will describe each of the aspects that make up organizational culture and give some examples of how this might look in a company. After talking about this, I will focus on how each of these aspects look in the Georgia College and State University Business Office. I will follow this section up with the limitations of my research. There are several aspects here that future researchers will need to pay attention to in order to gain a better understanding of organizational culture and how important it is to business. Following this, my method of research will be laid out so that everyone will know and understand my thought process and be able to apply this to furthering their research. The next slide will look at my limitations and offer solutions that may create for better research should someone want to study the same topic. I will end by restating a few of the key points of discussion and references in the research. Let's begin introducing you to the topic for this presentation. For this project, we will be analyzing the organizational culture for the Georgia College and State University Business Office. The purpose of the current presentation is to analyze the organizational culture of the GCSU Business Office in order to offer the staff recommendations on how to change the culture to meet their needs. It is important to understand the organizational culture of a company because an organization's culture can either enhance or hinder the company's performance. The assumption I'm making for the outcome of this research is that the GCSU Business Office will have a culture that is student-centered and that the organization will have goals and plans that align with the organization's culture. Listed here are a number of authors who shaped my analysis of organizational culture. My goal was to gather information from these authors and use this information to analyze the organizational culture of the GCSU Business Office. Our analysis of the organizational culture begins with assessing the values and behaviors of the organization. According to McShane and Von Glenau, these are the values that employees in an organization have in common. The company's values are important to the development of the company because it's the company's values that establish employee expectations and help develop these values and behaviors of the employees. As for GCSU, the business office has their own set of values and behaviors. These include respect for students and faculty, professionalism at all times, supporting a positive organizational image, equality among employees, and promptness when reaching deadlines, scheduled events, or the workday. The second aspect of organizational culture we will assess is job security and satisfaction. Job security and satisfaction are key aspects to task accomplishment and employee motivations. In the GCSU Business Office, employees are generally long-term, which means that task accomplishment and employee motivation are generally high. In the business office, those in management positions usually move up within the college every couple of years. Employees are given the opportunity to conduct a yearly self-evaluation, followed by performance evaluations. These evaluations allow employees to see how well they are doing in their jobs and also give concrete support for yearly pay raises for employees who are doing well in their jobs. For employees who are expecting a less than satisfactory work environment, There is an open forum available for any department complaints so that problems can quickly and effectively be solved to improve the workplace for everyone. The third aspect of organizational culture we will assess is employee motivation. There are two types of employee motivation: intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic motivation comes from within a person, such as stubbornness or pride, while extrinsic motivation comes from our environment, such as reward or punishment. At the GCSU business office, employees are screened for employment based on intrinsic motivation. This is to ensure that employees are self-motivated to do their job to the best of their ability, despite what rewards are waiting for them at the end of the day. However, there are some extrinsic motivators that are used in the office. These are promotions and pay raises. When employees are excelling at their jobs, they are rightfully rewarded with extrinsic motivators. The fourth aspect of organizational culture we will assess is communication throughout an organization. Communication can be seen as an exchange of information conducted to reach the organization's aims about planning, organizing, directing, coordinating, and evaluating activities. In the GCSU business office, upper-level management holds optional weekly meetings for concerns and issues. This benefits the organization because it is an extremely efficient way of getting to the point on matters that people normally avoid talking about because of the negative nature. Communication also assists the office in coordinating dates for high student volumes, as it is one of the main priorities. Another beneficial form of communication utilized by the business office is quarterly face-to-face meetings with upper-level management to maintain a flow of information. This ensures that all employees are on the same page when it comes to organization-wide matters, no matter how big or how small. The next aspect of organizational culture we will assess is the organizational structure. The organizational structure of a company can be broken down into two separate parts: characteristics of organizational structure and structural types. The characteristics are used to explain behavioral aspects of the company, while the structural type of the company describes the underlying approach for grouping employees. Organizational structure has also been suggested to have a strong influence over the ethics of the company. In the Georgia College and State University business office, the organizational structure is made up of several teams. These teams are payments, billing and collection, payroll, loan administration, and financial reporting. The final aspect of organizational culture we will assess is organizational change. The results of organizational change establish whether or not change is looked at favorably. As for the GCSU business office, there are no current plans for organizational change. This is because employees are satisfied, there are no major issues in operations, and there are no foreseeable changes in the mission of the office. It is important to reevaluate organizational change as the company's goals and strategic plans change. As your plans change, your organizational goals should also change with it. There were several limitations to this research that should be addressed. The first dealt with my physical location. I had to rely solely on phone and email interviews and discussions. Because of this, I was unable to see firsthand how the operation was being run and how employees interacted with each other and their bosses. This may have influenced the interviewees from discussing any negative aspects to their culture. Because of these limitations, I was not able to get into as much detail as I would have liked. Greater detail would open up more questioning and discussion that I was not able to do. My methodology for this research was to look at existing literature on organizational culture. This gave me a baseline to evaluate the GCSU business office. After this literature review, I conducted phone and email interviews and discussions with leaders and subordinates alike. I was able to gather things such as policy letters, handbooks, evaluation worksheets, and emails regarding common issues that arise within the office. I compared what I found to organizations that I've worked with in order to better understand the culture of the college's business office. The suggestions that I have for future research derive directly from the limitations. Future researchers should ensure to go to the physical location of the organization that they are researching in order to see firsthand the operations and culture of the organization. It would also be beneficial to research multiple organizations at a time that are similar in an attempt to see what works best and creates employee satisfaction. Another thing to look at would be the future goals of the organization to see if the company takes into account organizational culture in that plan. Here we have the key points of discussion. The first was a correct assumption that GCSU is student-focused. The company's employees were generally satisfied with their work and leadership. Leaders were very open and offered me much insight into operations. The last point is that the leadership changed often, and this was viewed as a good thing because individuals were moving up with the university. Again, here are the references used for this research. Please take a moment to take note of the authors. I hope everyone enjoyed this presentation and is able to further the research in some way. Thanks again, and have a great day.